Hey Angels and Biscuits, CSDL here, and today's video is, as you may have guessed from the title, is Season 4 Disenchantment's weakest season. For me, yes it was. So, getting right into it, I love Disenchantment. I have loved seasons 1 through 3. I've loved them a lot. Right, season 1 might be my favorite overall, but seasons 2 and 3 still left me wanting more. They wowed me. I didn't have that with season 4, or part 4, whatever they want to call them. Like, at the end of the season, I was actually disappointed. I wasn't wowed. I wasn't craving more, I guess, if that makes sense. So I have a few notes that we will talk about why I think this was its weakest season. And yeah, let's just jump right into them. Oh, also, their cliffhangers would typically make me mad. Also did not have that anger with their cliffhanger at the end of part 4. So first thing we'll talk about is this whole season felt pretty rushed. Like they were trying to cram way too many storylines into one season. I think this should have been maybe split up into 2 parts, like part 4 and part 5, rather than having all these different storylines in one. And not only did this feel very rushed to me, but the humor really fell flat. I don't know if they were just trying to be too meta this time or what, because they have been kind of meta in the past, and it's fine. They did it well, they balanced it well, but this season they just missed the mark with the humor, in my opinion. And then we were still left with a lot of unanswered questions. Like, what in particular, what kind of deal did Dagmar make that required Bean to marry Satan? Like what was this whole promise? I don't understand why she needed Bean to do it. Like, that whole thing was not very clear, and she didn't seem all that unhappy when Bean flipped the script and it ended up Dagmar being the one marrying Satan. Like, was that her ploy all along? Did she want Bean to flip the script? There's just a lot of unanswered questions with that in particular. So, jumping back to it feeling rushed for a hot minute. So if you're watching this video, I assume you've watched part 4. If not, probably spoilers. I'll try to put that at the beginning, like at the bottom of the screen, that there will be spoilers in case, because I probably mentioned something earlier already. But let's talk about some of the things that happened in this season, why all the stuff that was going on and why it felt so rushed. So we had Dagmar being in hell, like we had that storyline. We had the elves and trogs and Secrets with Dreamland. We had Zog and his bear child, Elfo and his ogre family, Cloyd and Becky, all of that competing for screen time. And there's more than that was going on. Like that's just the highlights, and that's just a lot of stories going on at once. And we had, like side plots with, like, say Bean and Mora, and then we have Bean and Zog co-ruling. There's an Elfo being a little spy. Like, there's just so many things going on. I think they had too much going on in this season. Next up, let's talk about characters for a minute. I think Lucy felt very out of character to me. Lucy has been my favorite character out of this whole thing. I love Lucy so much. He's definitely my favorite, and he felt so out of character this season. Like, his humor didn't feel right. He was dancing a lot more than I think he should have been. They were making him out to be this, like, oh, he's an asshole, he doesn't care about other people, but they established back in season 1 that yes, Lucy does care. Or was it season 2? Whenever they went to hell, it's probably season 2, but when they went to hell to rescue Elfo, and Lucy gives up his immortality for his friends to get them out. Like, we have known since then that Lucy cares, and They just made it seem like, oh no, Lucy's this I don't care about you kind of guy, and only, Mop Girl knows he cares. I don't know, I don't like what they did with Lucy at all. I mean, it's also the reason he went to heaven instead of back to hell when he died in part 3. So, I was very disappointed with how they did Lucy's character in season 4. Elfo still hasn't actually had much progression at all. I would have liked to see a little bit of change in him, or just some sort of development, but he's kind of still there, kind of a comic relief character. He hasn't been given a lot, I guess. Like, Elfo's still Elfo. And I kind of thought by part 4 we would have gotten a little bit more out of him, I guess. So that was kind of a letdown too. And Jerry, so we get Jerry in like the first half of part 4, and then he kind of just disappears after that, and it's like, where's Jerry? Because Jerry is great. Like, who doesn't love Jerry as a character? And he just kind of vanishes like partway through the season, and it's like, where'd he go? Where'd Jerry? 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 And there's no Jerry, and it was sad. I was disappointed by that as well. So I think the only character like I wasn't mad about and I was actually kind of impressed with and enjoyed was Zog. I think Zog has some great character development this season, and like out of everything about this season, I think Zog and his character arc is my favorite. I think they did the best with him, and his story arc excelled compared to everything else. He actually has real development. He grows as a character. I don't know, it's just good. He has good story. It's good. We're going back to it's good. It's good. It's good. So with all this disappointment, where does it seem like they are going? Dagmar is going to continue to be the antagonist as the series progresses. She's not gone. Cloyd and Becky are still around too, so they will probably, play some roles in there, but Dagmar is still, like, lead antagonist, which is fine. I don't mind that they have one villain for many seasons, or maybe if she's the only antagonist, that's still fine. She makes a pretty good antagonist, though I don't think we got a lot of decent story arcs from her this particular season. But I don't think Dagmar being the antagonist is going to change. Maybe her ploys, her plots, and her schemes will all be revealed next season in part 5, or we'll get a good chunk of them maybe. I would like a little bit more. Like, was her family part of why Dreamland is cursed, why the Og line is cursed, or, there's just a lot of stuff that still needs answers, like the Og curse, the elves in Dreamland, and because clearly the elves have a claim to Dreamland, like they've set that up. We've had the tiny elf castle under Dreamland. We have the underwater elf people, fish people. They look like trogs, but like mer people, which is weird. Like, not a bad weird. Like, it was weird, but it was a good weird. But there's a lot of stuff going on with the elves too, so that we need answered. So the elves, at least the Rulo, is that his name? I'm just guessing. I don't remember, but it seems like Rulo would be his name. The king of the elves went and asked Zog for his throne, like he wants to be, ruler of Dreamland again. Zog says no. So the elves are kind of trying to plan how to take back their castle. And then they discover some other things about the elves, like the elves and the Trog connection. So I think that's going to be expanded upon in part 5, like the elves and the Trogs are going to have to probably work together if they want to actually take Dreamland. Because there are a lot of Trogs. and there are a lot of elves. And I think if they combined their efforts, they might be able to take Dreamland, or if they get the ogres involved because of Elfo being half ogre himself, you know, the ogres could join the elves and the trogs and they could fight Dreamland, but Bean's in charge, so she probably wouldn't want to fight them. It's very convoluted. But the next question to be raised is Bean even going to be in Dreamland? Like, we know she cares about her people. She cares about being, you know, the responsible queen, but she also is not happy. They've established since season 1 that Bean is an unhappy Bean, and she's not happy in Dreamland. She's not happy as a princess. She's not happy ruling a kingdom. So I wonder if they'll have Bean, like, run away for part of the season, or even a whole season, but I don't think they do that. So say part of a season, and she'll run away and try to find Mora, because the one time I think Bean has been her happiest Bean self was with Mora, the mermaid. So maybe they will have Bean disappear from Dreamland, and, you know, stuff's gonna just explode after she leaves, shenanigans will ensue, and she will have to make a choice, like come back and help her people, or stay with Mora and be happy. Not that she can't go back to Mora at some point in the future, but, you know, future's unknown. She doesn't know if she'll get that chance. So I think, like, they might put Bean in that position where she has to make a choice, and I think she would choose to come back and help her people, help her father, help her friends. She would give up her mermaid happiness and return to Dreamland. That's just a theory I have based on this, you know, she's unhappy with her life the way it is now thing they've had going since season 1, and they did really kind of hit on this season. With Bean and with Zog, they had this whole conversation. She tells Zog that he should go and find his bear lady, and he should go be happy, like, do what makes him happy, and he does. He goes to find bear lady, and he finds out, that's when he finds out he has a half bear child and all of that. But before Zog leaves, he tells Bean that maybe she should take her own advice. So they've been hitting on that, you know, since season 1, but they really came back to it this season. Also, where they're going, we're gonna have to pick, you know, who ultimately gets to rule Dreamland. Right now, obviously, it is the Og line, but the elves have a claim to the throne, or a claim to Dreamland. So there is going to have to be some resolution there. Are the elves and the Og line, say Bean or Zog, if he's still alive by the end of this, are they going to share? Are they going to co-rule? Are one of them, like, going to step down? Maybe if Zog steps down and gives the kingdom back to the elves, maybe that would break the Og line curse. I don't know, but that is a theory that I've had. Or will they have to fight it out? We will need a conclusion to that at some point, so I think part 5 we're going to have to delve a little bit more into who will ultimately get Dreamland. I don't think we'll settle on it in part 5. That might have to be a part 6 or part 7 thing. I don't know how many parts or seasons that Disenchantment wants to have, but I don't think part 5 is going to be the conclusion to who gets to rule Dreamland. But there's quite a few possibilities out there. I'm kind of partial to Zog or Bean stepping down from the throne and giving the kingdom back to the elves, thus breaking the Og line curse. And the elves, in turn, will offer co-rulership with Dreamland, because there are so many, you know, humans in Dreamland, but there's also the elves, and I think their people would have to be ruled a little bit differently, because elves and humans are very different in Disenchantment. So yeah, that is a theory that I am partial to. We will see how right or wrong I am as the series progresses, but I like my theory. I'm happy with my theory. If I have a better one, later on down the road, or I hear a better theory down the road, maybe I'll change my mind, but for now, we're happy where we are. But yeah, so aside from who rules Dreamland, we also need to conclude Dagmar's villainous arc, uncover her secrets and why she's making deals with Satan or whoever in her family made these deals. That's still very confusing. I don't know if I missed something. I'll have to rewatch part 4. Oh, also, Bean and Mora's relationship, they have only touched on it a little bit. They make it seem like this did it really happen thing. I mean, we know as the viewer that it did, but Bean wasn't even sure the thing with Mora in part 3 happened. She does get that confirmation in part 4, so we still have that to work out, like why Mora seems to be so hesitant with Bean, why she didn't want her to remember it as a real memory. I don't know if that has something to do with the Og line as well, because King Zog did become known as like a mermaid killer or something, even though he too fell for this beautiful mermaid. He didn't actually kill one, but it just seemed like he did, and rumors spread and he got a statue. So there's also that storyline to explore yet. I hope they do it well and do it justice, because I really liked, part 3 with Mora and Bean. This one was a little less great in my opinion, Mora and Bean in part 4. Not that it was bad, it just was kind of dull to me. So I hope it gets some good storylines in part 5. Maybe Bean can change the mermaid's mind about people, about humans, because the mermaids, it does seem, took part in a battle. There were mermaid skeletons along with the elven skeletons under Dreamland. It looks like when the elves and humans battled for it. So maybe Bean can fix that relationship and they can form an alliance and they can fight Dagmar together, because it seems like Dagmar or Dagmar relative killed a lot of those people because of that magical flashback that Bean had. So potential there. Mermaid alliance. Overall thoughts, this season was subpar to the others. It did not leave me excited and wanting more. I was not angry at their cliffhanger. I was overall just disappointed. Like, it's an okay season. I still binged it in a night. Like, it wasn't terrible to watch, but it was not nearly as enjoyable to me as the other seasons, and definitely ranks number 4 out of the 4 seasons that we have. That is all I had for you guys today. If you like this video, please leave a like, a comment, or subscribe. Also, please let me know what you guys thought of Disenchantment Part 4 in the comment section. I would love to hear if you too thought it was their weakest season, or if you loved it and thought it was their best season, or if it ranks somewhere in the middle. I would love to have some conversations about it. So yeah, that's all for now, and I will see you guys next time.